about half a year ago or 6 months, something like that, I plan to make this video, which I'm making now, about a few things that could have been, you know, of a better design in the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. I wrote down on a piece of paper, you know, 5 annoying things about the Stelvio, but somehow it didn't materialize at the time. I'm doing it now, and now when I couldn't find this little note of mine, so I actually struggled to begin with now what actually would be the 5 annoying things. It's all settled. I wrote it down on a piece of paper. I have it down here in the door. Going to change the put on my set of winter tires and wheels right now. I guess I could do it myself, but it's just too much work, and the tires are so heavy, and I don't really have good. I don't have a good SUV lift jack up, so never mind. I'll do it now, and we'll be back to you in a few minutes. Welcome to Road of Plenty. I am Thomas, and here are 5 annoying things, or things that could have been done better with the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. Remember, now I'm talking about the Quadrifoglio, and I'm talking about pre-facelift. So I have 5 things. I will start with the least annoying thing, from 5 going to 1, which is the most annoying thing. Okay. Number 5, drive mode limitations. Well, as you may know, we have 4 driving modes: advanced efficiency, natural, which I am in right now, dynamic, and race. Now, except for those modes, you know, you would say, okay, that's good. Most cars don't have any modes, but this is a car which has driving modes, and unlike some other manufacturers, like BMW, for example, you know, you could have the most aggressive engine, and you could have the softest or most comfortable suspension, etc. You cannot really do that here. The only option you have, of course, you can change between manual and automatic in each mode. You can also change when you're in. You cannot do anything in here, but if you go to dynamic, you can change between mid suspension and soft suspension. Okay, so now I have the soft suspension. I press it again, I get the mid suspension. In the race mode, you can get. Let's go to. In race mode, you can go between the hard suspension, which I'm in right now, and the mid suspension. All right. So that's basically the only choices you have. Now, I don't really need much more choices. I understand. I get the idea of the factory making a setup. They're designing the car, and they think this is the best. This goes best with this. I understand it, but you should give the customer the option of choosing him or herself, in my opinion. Now, for me, it's actually only one thing that I would like to be able to choose. I would actually like, also in natural mode, I would like to have the possibility of the mid suspension, because I think the mid suspension, which I am in right now, it's absolutely the best. In my opinion, the car feels a little bit too soft. It feels a little bit wobbly when you have the soft suspension, but when you're in the mid suspension, it feels a lot more planted, a lot more controlled. So number 4, well, that is questionable quality on some of the interior parts. One of them is the covers for the ISOFIX points in the back seat, which, well, I've used it twice, and they kind of get off, you know, they come off their hinges. Of coming off, basically, of not being it possible to put back properly afterwards. It doesn't look good, and it really feels cheap. Another thing is the center console, or the central tunnel, or whatever I would more maybe call it, the center console. You can see it's not really solid, so especially if you're driving on in the winter on like washboard roads, or also gravel roads, or when you go over uneven surfaces, this would rattle, and it kind of annoys me. It's something I really think they should have. Maybe this is better on the facelifted model. I don't have a clue. I don't think so, but could be. The most annoying thing, and that is the only more annoying thing in the interior. I mean, the general impression of the interior is very nice. You know, you have the leather, you have the carbon fiber, which looks very nice. Although I am not the carbon fiber fan, it looks nice in this car. You know, really nice. The most annoying things are the seat belt height adjusters. They make a noise. You know, I'm very sensitive to these rattling noises, and in the beginning, you know, my wife, she usually puts some things in the door pocket, so I thought, did you put something there again? Did you put something there again? No, I didn't put anything. So after a while I figured out it's these things, they rattle, and they're just, for me anyway, they're just at the level of my ear. So at certain RPMs and load conditions, especially when you're in advanced efficiency or natural mode, where when the car would gear up quite early, and maybe you will be already in the highest gear, already in 80 or 85 kilometers an hour, and then let's say there's a slight uphill and you get some vibrations in the car. You can't really feel the vibrations, but there is a slight small vibration, and that is enough to make this fucking cover of the height adjustment for the seat belt starting to make this rattling noise. I think this is the one that's rattling. So those are the questionable parts of the interior. I don't really mind I don't mind the infotainment system and all that. I think it works fine. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. I don't need the facelifted model for that reason. I also think that the old that this steering wheel looks better than the facelifted steering wheel. It's also a little bit thinner, if I'm not mistaken, and I really like the thin steering wheel. Let's continue. Let's go to number 3. Well, that is fuel tank size and tank gauge. Now, the fuel tank is 63 liters on the Stelvio. For me, I mean, I'm coming from a 159, the Alfa Romeo 159, a diesel, which had a standard 70 liter fuel tank. And with a 60, I would say that the fuel consumption of that car was about 60% of what I have in this car. Truth be told, that then I'm probably driving a little bit faster in this car than I did in the 159, so a small part of that would be me driving faster. But anyway, since the tank was even bigger, I would say you would go twice as far. I would go twice as far in the 159 than I am in this car. That combined with the fact that the fuel gauge is crazy. When you are down on half tank like I am now, on the gauge, I don't have half tank. Maybe I have 1/3 of the tank left. Same thing will go with the range indication that you have, that it'll go down very slowly until you're here. Okay, until you're in that, half tank indication on the gauge. When you get below this point, it will go down so much faster. It doesn't make sense. It's crazy. Naturally, I've been Googling this and I've been checking why is the fuel gauge, is there any problem? And they said no. They made Alfa Romeo made like some kind of survey, and they found out that the customers want it this way. Who the fuck wants a fuel gauge that is not showing the correct value? I mean, you want to know how far you can go. I know it now. I know it's not accurate, but it is a little bit annoying, especially when you know that when you're just below one dot below half, you have to start thinking about going to the fuel station. This is something they could easily fix with a software update. I saw that someone gave the explanation. Oh yeah, but even since the 60s, the tanks themselves are not rectangular or anymore. They have a different shape. Of course they have a different shape, but it's so easy to program the gauge for to compensate for that, to calibrate the fuel gauge. So because that at a certain centimeter of the tank, what's left in the tank, there's a certain amount of fuel left. This is not rocket science. So that is absolutely not an explanation why the gauge is not showing correct values. So now it looks, I have half the tank left. No, I don't have half the tank left. Maybe I have 1/3 left. I hardly know where I'm going. Anyway, I'm driving around somewhere in Roslagen. Alright, so that was the fuel tank. It's something I can live with. I've learned to live with it, but it's very annoying because it's something they could have fixed very easily. I don't know why it's like this. Okay, so that was number 3. Number 2 is seat comfort. Now, these seats, they are great. They are more or less the same, a little bit more bolstering, I would say, side bolstering than I had in my 159, but I have a problem with them because you cannot tilt them as much as I would like or I would need, because now in the 159 I could, you really had a really nice tilt. Like if you've had a BMW sport seat 5 Series and up, you know what I'm talking about. You can tilt them a lot. I need this for my lower back because sometimes I have a problem with my lower back, and when you tilt it, it kind of releases. I get, I'm just resting on my back like this, and it's so good. It's like healing. The seat is healing the back. But when I cannot tilt the seat as much, that is not happening. I know that before on the Giulias, when I was more interested in buying a Giulia, the main reason why I never bought a Giulia Veloce is that the seats, you could not get them, there was no tiltable option until, I don't know, 2019 or something like that. I know that they would actually adjust the seats by putting some washers under at the forward part of the seat rails. So okay, that's probably a solution. It's something I could do, but I think it's something you shouldn't have to do. I mean, they had a 159. It had perfect seats, it had perfect adjustability, it was manual, it was no electric, but it was very good. Now, this makes me have to sit further back than I usually do in a car. And it also means that my steering wheel position, the reach, usually I have it furthest away from myself because I have pretty long arms. Now, as it is now, since I have to sit so far back, I have to sit very far back to get enough leg support, then I have to have the steering wheel in the most aft position now, when I usually in my 159 I have it in the most forward position. It's crazy. Okay, that's not the only thing with the seats. The other thing with the seats is that the lumbar support, it works, but it's very confusing how to set it. I have the paper manual at home in English and in Swedish. They say the same thing, which is not corresponding to how it works. I also downloaded online, like an English version of the manual, the user manual, and it says something else, how to adjust the lumbar support. Now, the best explanation I got was actually, I was just, you know, YouTubing around for lumbar support, and I found an explanation for, you know, BMW 530 from 2007 or 2008, and that was the best explanation how the lumbar support worked even for this car. You empty it here, and you fill the lower part here, you fill the middle part here, you fill the upper part here. That's not what it says in the user manual. This is adjustment for the side bolstering, and it's working fine. Anyway, the lumbar support does not go with the memory. So even if you have a memory, you put it on whatever. I have 3 different settings, depending on what shoes I'm wearing, and if I'm going into town or if I'm going on long trips, etc. Then the memories, they don't remember the lumbar support settings. So that's something you always have to set manually when you sit down in the car. Okay, that was number 2. And now we come to the final and most annoying thing. If I had not been in love with Alfa Romeo, this would probably have been a deal breaker. The brakes, deal breaker, okay? Because they are so difficult to modulate. You know what? Before I knew it before I bought it. Of course, I tested the car. I knew it when I tested the car. I felt it when I tested the car. I've had the same experience. I've tested the Giulia Veloce. It was the same. It's okay. It's okay when you're out on the run like this. The grip is very, I mean, they have very good stopping power. That is not the problem. The problem is that you cannot modulate it. And this is one thing that you cannot really come to a smooth stop. Because normally what you do when you're braking a car, when you come to a stop, you gradually let go of the brake to stop the car. I mean, you ease the brake pressure. It will actually continue to brake even harder. Let's say you go into the circulation place, rondelle. You're slowing down, okay, you see, you have to stop. Normally what I do, you know, I want to get a smooth stop, so, you know, when you're almost coming to a stop, you start to ease off on the brake pressure. What happens with this car when you do that is that it's braking even more. It's braking even more, and what happens then is, of course, you don't want to come, so then you let go of the brake more. And what happens when you let go of the brake more? Well, then it stops braking, and then you have to brake it. Then you have to push the pedal again, and then it gets even more brutal. Now, I got a comment, and I've also seen it on YouTube, that you can kind of improve this by changing the brake pads. But honestly, it's, you know, changing the brake pads might be a good idea, but I still have the brake pads. They're still good, you know, stopping power. I don't want to start, you know, changing things that are working on the car. I mean, that are working on the car. Maybe when I change the brake pads the next time, you know, maybe then I will go for something else, something that is not the Alfa Romeo original, because this is very annoying. It is very annoying. When you're just going out, slowing down, normally from a certain speed down to, let's say, down to 40 kilometers an hour, 50 kilometers an hour, it's no problem. You know, the brakes are good. It's these well, he didn't care about his obligation to look for me, stop for me. Never mind. So the problem is when you get into you know, you're stopping at a crossroads, at a junction, you know, and you want to do it smoothly, or when you're in stop and go traffic, which I try to avoid as much as possible. But then it's like, it's so annoying, this car. If I didn't really want an Alfa Romeo, I would have not bought it because of this. This is also something that you think that they could actually improve. I mean, they could fix it just with a software update. That's what I think anyway, but obviously they can't, because if they could, they would have done it. Somebody said that the facelifted version is better. Some people say it's not, so I don't know what's really true. These 5 annoying things aside, I really love this car. It's great to drive. It's great in the winter, it's great in the summer. There's a lot of things to like about this car. I just wanted to bring up 5 things that I don't like about the car. I've had the car now for a little bit more than a year. I've been driving 1,000 or 15,000 kilometers. So I have quite a good idea of how the car is behaving in different situations, etc. I haven't taken it to the track. I will not take it to the track because I can't afford crashing it. I don't think an SUV is a track car. I mean, it is a little bit pointless actually. On Monday I will leave it for the service, second year service. It's got to be about $1,000. They're also going to check the battery if it's okay or not. I haven't really had any more problem with the battery since I had a problem initially. So let's see. Maybe this is all good now. Who knows? Okay, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, if you want to know more about how it is to own the Stelvio Quadrifoglio and maybe in the future other cars, I don't know, probably not, then please like and subscribe. I'm now up to around 200 subscribers. It would be great if I could come up to 1,000 subscribers. The more subscribers I get, of course, the more I'm going to be inspired to make more videos. If nobody's watching you, what's the point? So please like and subscribe if you like it, and I hope I'll be able to bring you more interesting content in the future.